Hi, I'm Pawel, I make games, and I'm gonna show you how to create a 2D bone-based animation and also add inverse kinematics to your character to make your work way easier. Before we start working on it, we need to add some packages to your project. Go to Window, Package Manager, and in the Unity registry, add 2D animation package, 2D IK. It's a preview package, so we need to go to Advanced Project Settings and select Enable Preview Packages. We're gonna use PSB files, so add PSD importer too. Even if you don't have a Photoshop to create a file, in the end of this video I'm gonna show you how to make it work for free. Now you need a 2D character. I got mine from the Unity's asset store for free, it's a great price. And if you want to try it out, go to the link in the description, add it to your assets in the web browser, and in Unity go to Window, Package Manager, My Assets. And that's this one. Download and import it. It comes with everything ready to go, so if you want to, you may look at how does it work. But of course I've copied the PSB file only, and I'm going to show you how to create this bone-based animation. Go to Sprite Editor, that's what you should see if you use a PSB. And in the Skin Editor, you see your character as it is in the game world. Hit Create Bone button and start creating bones. As you can see, they connect to each other, but if you don't want to add another one, just hit right mouse button. If you want to reverse it, click on the bone and click on top of it. As you can see, the dot snaps to it. If you want a head bone to be connected to the spine but not start from the top, you just click on the bone and create a new bone. You can see the line between the dot and the bone you've clicked at, and that's how you know that you connect those two bones. Now connect hair sprites to the head and arms and legs to the spine. Hit apply, but it's not over. Now go to Auto Geometry and play with this slider. If you want your animation to be detailed, go with a higher value there. But this will cost you some computing power, so you should aim to use as little triangles there as it is needed to see a nice looking animation. Now go to all the weights, check associate bones and generate weights. Now you don't have a cute anime girl anymore, but an abomination. Reset the pose with this button, and to fix it we need to go to Bone Influence and check if every sprite has a correct bone attached to it. It's also a good time to talk about those colors a little bit. For example, if you have this yellow bone with this yellow area, it means that this part of the sprite is influenced by the position of this bone. Above the yellow bone we have a pink one, and between them we have a gradient of those two colors, which means there we bend the sprite. You can use bone influence, select the bone you want to remove it, and that way set the sprite free. The hair is easy because we want to have there only one bone. We click on it, and that's this one. So we can remove the other ones. Now we have only one color there. We do the same with the hair and keep the double influence on arms and legs. For this model you need to make sure that this body part, the top of the leg, is influenced by this bone of course, the yellow bone, the bottom of the leg because we want to bend it here, and also the bottom of the spine because we want to hide this part if we move the leg. Look, if we remove the bottom of the spine bone, now we can see this part of the leg. It looks really weird, so undo it with Ctrl Z to make it hidden again. In some cases, the bone you want to add is not touching any part of the sprite. Sadly, that means you need to go to weight brush, increase its hardness, and in the add and subtract mode, you need to add area influenced by this bone. Make sure to click on it. Revert pose, apply the changes and go back to Unity. Before adding your character to the game, you can click on every single bone and rename it. Now in Unity, all you need to do is to drag and drop this model over here, move it a little bit to the left to make it visible. But animating this type of an object is really painful because you need to rotate every body part separately. The creator of this asset did it, and as you can see, the idle animation involves many position and rotation changes. To make your life easier, we need to go to this copy and add IK Manager 2D. Click on this plus icon, create a new limb. Now we have a new child game object. Let's name it Foot Background Solver, and we want to find this bone. Just click on it and here create a new empty game object. We want it to be at the end of this bone. Rename it to Foot Background. Go to Foot Background Solver and use this newly created object here. Make sure to have your solver at the same position and hit create target. Now your bone is trying to be as close to this point as it is possible. Actually, it's trying to be as close as it is possible to the target, not to the solver, but we don't need to care about it. Now we need to do the same with the second leg and the arms. While working with the arms, you can notice that they bend in the opposite way. To easily fix it, select your solver and check flip option. It's really that simple. Now if you select this bottom of the spine, the root bone, and move it a little bit, you can see... oh, and of course do the same with the second arm. Now as you move the spine, you can see that the hands and feet try to stay at the same point. Of course, if you move the game object itself, points will move too, because those are child objects of this big game object. But if you want to keep this hand in the same position no matter what happens, you just grab it and make it a child object of this spine, not the skeletal copy. Now if you move the spine, your foreground hand stays in the same place. Okay, it's time to animate this character. Change its hand solver's parent again and add to the skeletal copy let me move it. Add here an animator. Now we need an animator controller. Use it over here. Go to animation, create a new one. And we are ready to animate. Hit this button to go to the recording mode. And let's go with something simple. Select this bone. Add key on the position and on the rotation. Now select those frames and paste them somewhere. Now in the middle we want to make it like that. Okay, let's do the same with the head. Let's add a key to its rotation. Make sure to have the same animation at the beginning and at the end to make this animation smooth. Move the spine a little bit. Leave the recording mode. As you can see, we have a really simple animation over there. We don't need to animate those legs separately because IK does it for us. I know that many of you don't use Photoshop for your sprites, so I'm going to show you how to create a PSB file, a little bit goofy one, without Photoshop. You know, you don't need to pay money to make your assets, and that's great. Maybe you're told that if you don't have a Photoshop, you need to import a regular sprite sheet as a PNG file, have it on a single sprite mode, and in the sprite editor, in the skinning editor, click on this sprite and then create a skeleton out of those little pieces. Okay, I got it over here, and I must admit that this method is good, but only if you like pain, really, because now to create something like this, you need to add your sprite skin and play with it a little bit, and always move your body parts to achieve what you've already done in the image editor. Okay, so now we're gonna do something crazy. So you go to your GIMP or whatever you use. GIMP is a free software, so that's why I use it. And you have your object with the layers in the correct way. By the way, you should rename them. And now all you need to do is to go to File and export it as .psd file, not PSB because that's a Photoshop's extension, but PSD. Anyway, the most important part is that GIMP can export it. Hit export, and there you have your file. Go to Unity. You can upload it, but it's just an image. You can see those separate body parts here. So let's close it up, let's delete it. Let's copy it and rename it. If you have your copy of the file ready, you can change this D to B. Okay, this goofy method should work. Let's import it. We have some warnings, because that's pretty brutal what we've just done. But what is the most important? We just imported our PSB file without a Photoshop. Let's go to it, let's enter its sprite editor, its skinning editor, and we got what we need. As you can see, everything works just fine. Have a good day and see you soon!